Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. This is video 7 from my 400 Advanced English Words series. Do you want to excel in English? You're on the right track to achieving great English skills. On this channel, I provide you with all the tools and strategies you need to level up fast. Don't judge a book by its cover. Some small books are packed with great wisdom. As the saying goes, wisdom is worth more than silver. It brings more profit than gold. In this video, you're going to find out some crucial information that may change your life. So stay tuned. Enrich your vocabulary with 40 more advanced English words. Let's practice together. Let's get started with our list of words. The word number 1 is the word to endorse. To endorse means to publicly or officially say that you support or approve of someone or something. It means to express support for someone or something, especially in public. For example, the manufacturer paid $1 million to the world champion to endorse their new aftershave. Members of all parties endorsed the proposal. I wonder how many celebrities actually use the products they endorse. I can endorse their opinion wholeheartedly. Please note that we also use the noun endorsement. Endorsement is a statement or action which shows that you support or approve of something or someone. It is a form of public support or approval. If someone puts their fame or name behind something, they're endorsing it and giving their approval. For example, the program for supporting the arts won the government's endorsement. Artists and athletes can earn millions of dollars from brands, movie rights, and product endorsements. The word number 2 is the word fake. Please note that we can use the word fake as a noun or an adjective or a verb. When we use it as a noun, it means an object that is made to look real or valuable in order to deceive people. It is actually a counterfeit. When we use this word as an adjective, it means intended to look like something else, especially in order to deceive, showing or pretending to feel emotions that are not sincere. And when we use the same word as a verb, it means to make something look like something else, especially in order to deceive. It means to pretend that you have a feeling. Let me give you some examples. Experts revealed that the painting was a fake. He was caught with a fake passport. He faked his mother's signature on the permission form. She's so fake, pretending to be everybody's friend. He isn't really crying, he's just faking. The word number 3 is the word to revere. To revere means to feel deep respect or admiration for someone or something. For instance, Nelson Mandela is revered for his brave fight against apartheid. Picasso's paintings are revered by his contemporaries. Many Americans revere civil rights activists like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, who worked to make the country a more just place. Please note that we also use the noun reverence. Reverence is a feeling of respect or admiration for someone or something. It is a feeling of deep respect or awe. For instance, their religion shows a deep reverence for nature. He was proud of his power and of the reverence the people of earth paid him. The word number 4 is the word mediocre. Mediocre means of only average quality, not very good, not good enough. For instance, the movie's plot is predictable and the acting is mediocre. He is an enthusiastic, though mediocre painter. The dinner was delicious, but the dessert was mediocre. The plumber did a mediocre job. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 5 is the word to captivate. To captivate means to influence and dominate by some special charm, art, or trait, and with an irresistible appeal. It means to keep somebody's attention by being interesting, attractive, etc. If you are captivated by someone or something, you find them fascinating and attractive. Let me give you some examples. The scenery captivated our attention. With her beauty and charm, she captivated movie audiences everywhere. I was captivated by her sparkling personality and brilliant mind. Some people are able to captivate with wit and charm, others with physical beauty, still others with intelligence. Take heed, we also use the word captivating. Captivating means capable of attracting and holding interest, charming. For instance, he has a charming laugh and captivating smile. Her voice was utterly captivating. The story is captivating and keeps the viewer hooked. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 6 is the word obsolete. Obsolete means no longer used because something newer exists. No longer used because something new has been invented. For instance, with technological changes, many traditional skills have become obsolete. Most computer hardware rapidly becomes obsolete. Gas lamps became obsolete when electric lighting was invented. Please note that we also use the noun obsolescence. Obsolescence is the state of being no longer needed because something newer or more efficient has been invented. There is also a term, planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence describes a strategy of deliberately ensuring that the current version of a given product will become out of date or useless within a known time period. This guarantees that consumers will seek replacements in the future, thus boosting demand. For example, mobile phone technology is developing so quickly that many customers are concerned about obsolescence. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 7 is the word praise. Praise means the words that you say that express your admiration and approval of someone or something. For instance, they deserve praise for all their hard work. He deserves praise for the way he's handled this crisis. Her performance received praise from all the critics. Please note that we use the same word as a verb as well. To praise means to express approval for someone's achievements or qualities. It means to express thanks to or love and respect for God as well. And the word with a similar meaning is the word to commend. To commend also means to formally praise someone or something. Let me give you some examples. Her parents always praise her when she did well at school. A good teacher praises students when they do well. We praise God for your safe arrival. The judge commended him on his bravery. She was commended on her handling of the situation. Please note that we also use the adjective commendable. Commendable means deserving praise or admiration. For example, we have commendable efforts, commendable behavior, commendable bravery, etc. Let me give you some examples. His courage during the storm was commendable. They always conduct their affairs with commendable honesty. She wasn't always successful, but she made a commendable effort. Your commitment to the cause is highly commendable. Let's continue with our lesson, and the next word on the list is the word obese. Obese means extremely fat or overweight in a way that is dangerous for health. For example, 2 in 3 adults are now overweight or obese. Obese people tend to have higher blood pressure than lean people. Take heed, we also use the noun obesity. Obesity is the state of being extremely fat or overweight. For instance, obesity and lack of exercise are bad for the heart. Childhood obesity has become a significant problem in many countries. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 9 is the word to uplift. To uplift means to raise, to elevate, to lift up, to raise to a higher moral, social, spiritual, or cultural level or condition. If something uplifts people, it helps them to have a better life, for example, by making them feel happy or by improving their social conditions. And it also means to fill with optimism. For instance, they aim to uplift downtrodden and deprived peoples. Art was created to uplift the mind and the spirit. We need a little something to help sometimes to uplift us and make us feel better. Music can uplift your spirits. Take heed, we also use the adjective uplifting. Uplifting means positive in a way that encourages the improvement of a person's mood or spirit, inspirational, offering or providing hope, encouragement, salvation, etc. We also use this word in expressions such as uplifting words, uplifting music, etc. It was an uplifting story of triumph over adversity. It is a warm-hearted and ultimately uplifting movie. The word number 10 is the word clutter. Clutter is a lot of things in an untidy state, especially things that are not useful or necessary. It is a number of things scattered in disorder. For instance, the attic is full of clutter. There's a lot of unnecessary clutter in the house. Please note that we use the same word as a verb as well. To clutter means to cover or fill a space or room with too many things so that it looks untidy. If things or people clutter a space, clutter a place, they fill it in an untidy way. For instance, the garage was cluttered with tools. Piles of books and papers cluttered his desk. The roads were cluttered with cars and vans. Let's continue with our lesson. The next word on the list, the word number 11, is the word expenditure. Expenditure is the total amount of money that an organization or person spends. It is an amount of money spent, or the spending of money on something, or the money that is spent on something. We also use the expression to reduce, keep down, or cut expenditure, which means to cut one's expenses. Let me give you some examples. Unnecessary expenditures include those for luxury items. Governments may help both growth and the poor by directing their expenditures to infrastructural projects, especially roads and bridges. We're primarily concerned with keeping expenditure down. The word number 12 is the word to abhor. To abhor means to regard with disgust and hatred. If you abhor something, you hate it very much, especially for moral reasons. And there are also some words with similar meanings. For example, we can also loathe someone or something, which means feel strong hate, dislike, or disgust for someone or something. It means to feel disgust or intense aversion for, to abhor. Or we can also detest someone or something, which means to dislike intensely. If you detest someone or something, you dislike them very much. And we also have the verb to spurn. To spurn means to reject with disdain or contempt. To reject or refuse somebody or something, especially in a proud way. To despise means to dislike and have no respect for someone or something. To look down on with contempt, to scorn. Let me give you several examples for all these verbs. For instance, they abhor violence in any form. Most decent people abhor corruption in government. She abhors any form of cruelty towards animals. They loathe people who spread malicious gossip. Whether you love or loathe their music, you can't deny their talent. I detest any kind of cruelty. We loathe and detest racism in any form. He spurned my offers of help. Amy spurned Mark's invitation. He despises the people he has to work for. Take heed, there are also some nouns that we use when we dislike someone or when we feel that someone doesn't deserve any respect or is utterly worthless. The noun contempt means a strong feeling of lack of respect for someone or something, accompanied by a feeling of intense dislike. The feeling that a person or a thing is worthless or beneath consideration, disrespect. The word with a similar meaning is disdain. Disdain is the feeling of not liking someone or something and thinking that they're unworthy of your consideration or respect. If you feel disdain for someone or something, you dislike them because you think that they're inferior or unimportant. Another word with a similar meaning is scorn. Scorn is a feeling and expression of contempt or disdain for someone or something. It is a strong feeling that someone or something is of little or no worth and deserves no respect. Open dislike and disrespect or mockery, often mixed with indignation. The word contempt is a harsh term and should be used with care. It is much stronger than either disdain or scorn. Let me give you some examples. They were bullies and they showed contempt for everyone and everything. He looked at her with undisguised contempt. I have nothing but contempt for their ridiculous opinions. He is very arrogant, showing disdain for those who are not as skilled as he is. Despite her disdain for the bad boys, they keep on pursuing her. He glared at the waiter with a look of disdain on his face. I have nothing but scorn for people who are cruel to animals. He became the object of ridicule and scorn. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 13 is the word superficial. We use the word superficial for people who never think about things that are serious or important. It means not serious or important and not having any depth of understanding or feeling. The word with an opposite meaning is profound. We use the word profound to describe people who show great knowledge or insight. It is something that is felt or experienced very strongly or in an extreme way. A profound idea, work, or person shows great intellectual depth or understanding. For example, He has only superficial knowledge of the subject. They talked about superficial topics like sport and the weather. Lucy is so superficial, she only cares about how she looks. His knowledge of biology is profound. Those lines of poetry express perfectly the profound sadness of loss. The mother's behavior has a profound impact on the developing child. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 14 is the word rate. Rate has several meanings. Number one, it is the speed at which something happens over a particular period of time. Number two, it is also the number of times something happens or is done during a particular period of time. And finally, number three, it is an amount that is paid. A price or amount to be paid that is set according to a scale or standard. For instance, at the rate we're moving, it will be morning before we arrive. We have relatively low unemployment rates these days. Crime rates have declined in recent years. The hotel's rates start at $50 per night. Take a note, we also use the verb to rate. To rate means to judge the value or worth of someone or something. It means to consider that someone or something has a particular quality or has achieved a particular standard or level. For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate his book a 5. He was rated one of the best painters around. She is rated highly by the people she works for. Please note that we also use the verbs to overrate and to underrate. To overrate means to have a higher opinion of someone or something than is deserved. It means to overestimate someone or something. For example, I think the critics seriously overrated that movie. His success has been overrated. To underrate means to underestimate or undervalue the value or importance of someone or something. It means to fail to recognize how important, powerful, good or skillful someone or something really is. For example, he's seriously underrated as a writer. He is the most underrated player in the league. Let's continue with our lesson, and the next word on our list, the word number 15, is the verb to indulge. To indulge can have a positive connotation as well as a negative connotation. When we use this verb with a positive connotation, it means to allow yourself to have or do something that you enjoy. It means to satisfy a particular desire, interest, etc. When the verb to indulge has a negative connotation, it means to allow yourself to have or do something that you like, especially something that is considered bad for you. For example, unhealthy habits or addictions, etc. It means to become involved in something that people do not really approve of. Let me give you some examples. I indulged in a bit of hot chocolate with whipped cream. His success has let him indulge his love of expensive cars. The inheritance enabled him to indulge his passion for art. Life would be very dull if we never indulged ourselves. They indulged in alcohol and maintained an attitude of defiance to the norms. She likes to indulge herself in reckless spending. He has indulged in affairs with several women. She has never been one to indulge in idle gossip. Simply indulging in whatever pleasures are close at hand will ultimately bring you unhappiness. Take note, we also use the noun indulgence as well as the word self-indulgence. Indulgence is the state or act of having or doing whatever you want. It is the attitude of allowing yourself or someone else to have something enjoyable, something that is done or enjoyed as a special pleasure. For instance, she lived a life of selfish indulgence. Avoid excessive indulgence in sweets and canned drinks. For our anniversary, we allowed ourselves the indulgence of an elegant dinner at our favorite restaurant. The holiday was an extravagant indulgence. Let's move forward with our lesson. And the next word on our list, the word number 16, is the word moderation. Moderation is the avoidance of excess or extremes, especially in one's behavior or political opinions. It is the quality of doing something within reasonable limits. For example, you can eat whatever you want as long as it's in moderation. All parties will have to show great moderation during these difficult negotiations. Alcohol should only ever be taken in moderation. Moderation in eating and drinking is the way to stay healthy. Please note that we also use the adjective moderate. Moderate means being within a middle range in size, amount, or degree, neither large nor small in amount or degree, average in amount, intensity, quality, or degree, reasonable, and avoiding extreme opinions or actions. For example, the company was of moderate size, with about 50 employees. Moderate exercise, such as walking, is recommended. Most of these medicines relieve mild to moderate pain. The tone of his speech was quite moderate. The word number 17 is the word to curb. To curb means to control or limit something that is not wanted. If you curb something, you control it and keep it within limits. If you curb an emotion or your behavior, you keep it under control. For instance, he's someone who finds it difficult to curb his fleshly desires. You really need to curb your spending. She has to learn to curb her temper. The city is trying new measures to curb pollution. Take note, we also use the noun curb. When it is used as a noun, it means a limit on something that is not wanted. For example, you must try to put a curb on your bad temper and spending habits. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 18 is the verb to yield. To yield means to give forth or produce by a natural process or in return for cultivation. That's one of the meanings of the word to yield. The meaning number 2 is to produce payment, profit, or interest. And the meaning number 3 is to give up or surrender yourself. So as we can see, this word has several meanings. Let me give you some examples. Favorable weather yielded a good crop. The peach trees yielded an abundant harvest. The search for truth is beginning to yield fruitful results. That investment will yield a handsome return. He yielded himself to temptation. The next word on the list, the word number 19, is the verb to worship. To worship means to have or show a strong feeling of respect and admiration for God. It means to show reverence and adoration for a deity. But this word also means to show a lot of love and adoration for someone or something, often without noticing the bad qualities of that person or thing. The word with a similar meaning is the verb to glorify. To glorify means to praise and honor God or a person. But it also means to describe or represent as admirable, especially unjustifiably. To describe or represent something in a way that makes it seem better or more important than it really is. For example, we enjoy going to church and worshiping God. The Maya built jungle pyramids to worship their gods. They worship James Brown, Bob Marley, and Jimi Hendrix. Her sister worships her cats and is always buying fancy gifts for them. Music is used to glorify God. A statue was erected to glorify the country's national heroes. The movie glorifies violence. Politicians have complained that the media glorify drugs. Take note, we also use the noun worship. Worship is also the act of worshiping God, often through praying or singing. It is a reverent honor and homage paid to God or a sacred personage, and to any object regarded as sacred. The word with a similar meaning is the noun glorification. Glorification is the act of praising and honoring God or a person. But it also means the action of describing or representing something as admirable, especially unjustifiably. For example, local people complained about improperly dressed tourists entering places of worship. They attended worship this morning. Cathedrals are built for the glorification of God. They condemn the glorification of violence on TV. Gradually, he developed a distrust of wealth and glorification of poverty. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 20 is the word to relieve. To relieve means to make an unpleasant feeling, such as pain or worry, less strong, to free from pain, anxiety, or distress. It also means to provide relief for a bad situation or for people in need. If something relieves an unpleasant feeling or situation, it makes it less unpleasant or causes it to disappear completely. Let me give you some examples. Your headaches can easily be relieved by regular aspirin. Laughter is great for bonding and relieving stress. I was relieved by the news that they had arrived home safely. Aid workers called for further effort from governments to relieve the famine. Take note, we also use the word relief. Relief is a relaxed, happy feeling that you get because something bad has not happened or a bad situation has finally ended. Relief also means something that relieves pain, distress, anxiety, etc. And this word also means financial or practical assistance given to those in special need or difficulty, food, money, or services that provide help for people in need. For instance, no one was hurt and we all breathed a sigh of relief. Exercise is an excellent source of stress relief. It's a drug commonly prescribed for pain relief. Musicians have raised millions of dollars for famine relief in Africa. A relief fund has been set up to send supplies to the refugees. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 21 is the verb to deteriorate. To deteriorate means to become worse, to diminish or impair in quality, character, or value. For example, she was taken into hospital last week when her condition suddenly deteriorated. The weather deteriorated rapidly, so the game was abandoned. Relations between the two countries have deteriorated further this week. His behavior has steadily deteriorated over the years. The next word on our list, the word number 22, is entitled. Entitled has several meanings. Number one, it describes a feeling that you have the right to do or have what you want without having to work for it or deserve it, just because of who you are. An entitled person thinks they are special and deserve special treatment. When we use the word entitled with this meaning, it has a negative connotation. However, we can also use the word entitled with a positive connotation. In this case, it means having a right to certain benefits or privileges, qualified for by right according to law. And finally, this word means having a title or name. Let me give you some examples. These kids are so entitled and spoiled and think the world will revolve around them. Amanda was so entitled and self-centered that she never noticed the injustices around her. He's an entitled rich guy with no understanding of how people who aren't rich actually live. The police said he was entitled to his opinion. We're all entitled to equal protection under the law. Employees are normally entitled to overtime pay. If the title of a book or movie is, for example, Sunset, it is entitled Sunset. Let's move forward with our lesson. The next word on the list, number 23, is the word spark. Spark is a tiny bright piece of burning material that flies up from something that is burning. Spark is also a first small event or problem that causes a much worse situation to develop. And finally, spark also means a sense of liveliness and excitement. For example, the fire gradually got bigger and bigger, sparks flew in all directions. That small incident was the spark that set off the street riots. There was a spark between them at their first meeting. Please note that we use the same word as a verb as well. To spark means to kindle, to animate, or to stimulate interest, activity, spirit, etc. To cause something to start or develop, especially suddenly. For example, these bright students have sparked her enthusiasm for teaching. The organizers are hoping to spark some interest in young people. She sparked our imaginations and encouraged creative writing. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 24 is the verb to devour. To devour means to eat all of something quickly, especially because you are very hungry. But this word also means to read something quickly and with great enthusiasm. And finally, it means to destroy something completely. For example, he devoured half of his burger in one bite. The animal quickly devoured its prey. She spent her evenings devouring the classics. The flames devoured the old house. The word number 25 is the word insatiable. We use this word to describe an appetite or desire that is impossible to satisfy. Insatiable means constantly wanting more, incapable of being satisfied or appeased. For example, her desire for knowledge was insatiable. Like so many politicians, he had an insatiable hunger for power. The public seems to have an insatiable appetite for celebrity gossip. Nothing would satisfy her insatiable curiosity. Let's continue with our list of words. And the word number 26 is the word rampant. Rampant is used to describe something that is very common or that is spreading very quickly and in a way that is difficult to control, especially of something unwelcome. It means flourishing or spreading unchecked. If you describe something bad, such as a crime or disease, as rampant, you mean that it is very common and is increasing in an uncontrolled way. For example, there is evidence of rampant corruption in the local government. Inflation is rampant and industry in decline. There is no point in increasing the debt burden if expenditure continues to run rampant. Disease is rampant in that area of the country. Let's proceed with our lesson. The word number 27 is the word compulsive. We use the word compulsive to describe people or their behavior when they cannot stop doing something wrong, harmful, or unnecessary. It is used to describe behavior that is difficult to stop or control. For example, we have expressions such as compulsive eating, compulsive spending, compulsive gambling, compulsive hand washing, etc. And we also use the word compulsive for people to describe people who are not able to control their behavior. So we have a compulsive drinker, a compulsive gambler, a compulsive liar, etc. For example, he's a compulsive gambler and often heavily in debt. He's a compulsive liar. You can't believe a word he says. The eating disorders include compulsive overeating and severe anorexia. Compulsive behavior is often a symptom of deeper psychological problems. The word number 28 is the verb to shrink. To shrink means to become smaller in amount, size, or value, to make something smaller. We can also say to shrink from something, which means to try to avoid something difficult or unpleasant. For example, the town's population shrank during the war. The sweater shrank when it was washed. The market for their products is shrinking. He doesn't shrink from telling the truth, no matter how painful it may be. Please note that we use the same word as a noun as well. Shrink is also the informal word you can use to talk about a therapist or psychiatrist. For example, he's seeing a shrink. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 29 is the verb to inflict. To inflict something on someone means to cause someone to experience or be affected by something unpleasant. It means to impose something unwelcome on someone. To inflict harm or damage on someone or something means to make them suffer it. For instance, he shows no regret for the suffering he has inflicted on these innocent people. The suffering inflicted on these children was unimaginable. They continue to inflict their strange ideas about nutrition upon their children. Why would anyone inflict harm on a helpless animal? The verb with a similar meaning is to afflict. We use the verb to afflict to describe a problem or illness. It means to cause pain or suffering to someone or something. It means to make someone or something suffer physically or mentally. If you are afflicted by an illness or serious problem, you suffer from it. For example, the disease afflicts an estimated 2 million people every year. He was afflicted with severe asthma. Much of the region is afflicted by hunger and poverty. Severe drought has afflicted a region. Take a note, we also use the noun affliction. Affliction is the state of being afflicted by something that causes suffering. An affliction is something which causes physical or mental suffering. For example, an illness or a serious problem. It is a state of pain, distress, or grief. For instance, they sympathize with us in our affliction. Malnutrition is one of the common afflictions of the poor. Chickenpox is an affliction caused by a virus. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 30 is garment. Garment is an item of clothing. It is a piece of clothing. For example, we have woolen garments or winter garments or outer garments. Let me give you some examples. Many of the garments have the customer's name tags sewn into the linings. She likes to wear garments of the finest silk. They went to night school and found work in the garment industry. He's fussy about how a garment fits him. The word number 31. Gadget. Gadget is a small specialized mechanical or electronic device or tool, especially an ingenious or novel one. A gadget is a small machine or device which does something useful. For example, the kitchen is equipped with all the latest gadgets. We live in a world filled with high-tech gadgets. This handy gadget separates egg yolks from whites. Let's move forward with our lesson. The word numbered 32 is illicit. Illicit means illegal or disapproved of by society, forbidden by law, rules or custom, prohibited by law or by official or accepted rules, simply not allowed by law or custom. For example, illicit activities are money laundering and counterfeiting. Drugs are illegal and illicit because they do incredible harm and no good whatsoever. Illicit drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and marijuana are rampant in the city. It's illegal to kill endangered elephants, but some poachers still engage in the illicit ivory trade. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 33 is the verb to entice. To entice means to attract someone, usually to do something by arousing hope, interest, or desire. It means to tempt. The word entice means to lure or tempt someone by promising them something that they like. You always know it when someone is enticing you. The word with a similar meaning is to allure. To allure means to tempt with something desirable, to attract, to entice, to fascinate. Let me give you some examples. Goods are displayed in shop windows to entice people into the store. The club has come up with an attractive membership pack to entice new members. All these banks and credit card companies are doing is enticing people to get into even more debt. Promises of quick profits allure the unwary investor. The dog was allured by the smell of roasting meat. Take notice, we also use the noun allure. Allure is also the quality of being attractive and exciting, the quality of being powerfully and mysteriously attractive or fascinating. For example, the country has lost its allure as a destination for foreign investment. A career in Hollywood might have great allure to a teenager who loves acting. Take a note, we also use the adjective enticing. Enticing means attractive or tempting, having the effect of attracting, tempting, or drawing people in. Something that is enticing is so attractive and interesting that you want to have it or know more about it. The word with a similar meaning is alluring. Alluring means very attractive or tempting, enticing, seductive. For instance, that chocolate is enticing, but I vowed to give up sweets for a while. The job offer was enticing due to the big salary increase. The idea of 2 weeks in the sun sounds enticing. The truly alluring woman is a mix of many elements. The town offers alluring stores and restaurants. The audience was enthralled by her captivating smile and alluring looks. Let's move forward with our lesson. The next word on the list, the word number 34, is the verb to crave. To crave means to desire something strongly, to long for, to want greatly, to desire eagerly. It is typically used in the context of emotional or physical desires rather than practical needs. For example, people can crave alcohol or drugs or sweets or carbohydrates or cigarettes or coffee, etc. For example, the neglected kids just crave attention and affection. They crave dignity, respect, and a sense that their labor is valuable. They're human beings like you and me. They crave love, acceptance, and security. There may be certain times of day when smokers crave a cigarette. Take heed, we also use the noun craving. Craving is a strong or uncontrollable desire. It is an intense desire or longing, yearning. For instance, an example of a craving is a pregnant woman absolutely needing to eat pickles. Dates or dried fruit are great for satisfying sweet cravings. She has a craving for chocolate. Let's move on to the next word. Number 35. Trigger. The word trigger has two meanings. Number one, it means a part of a gun that causes the gun to fire when pressed, and it also means an event or situation, etc., that causes something to start. An event that is the cause of a particular action, process, or situation. Someone's triggers are things that can cause them to have an extreme reaction of fear, upset, or anger, especially because they remember a traumatic experience. Let me give you some examples. An example of trigger is what a cop presses to fire his gun. There are fears that the incident may be a trigger for more violence in the capital. Stress may act as a trigger for these illnesses. The trigger for the strike was the closure of a mine. Please note that we also use the verb to trigger. To trigger means to cause something to start, to make something happen suddenly. It means to start a series of events or emotions. For example, the uprising triggered riots and violence across the country. Allergens can trigger asthma attacks. Nuts can trigger a violent allergic reaction. The word number 36 is the verb to consume. To consume means to eat or drink something. But this word has a few meanings. The meaning number 2 is to use something, especially fuel, energy, or time. The meaning number 3, when it is used of fire, it means to completely destroy something. And finally, meaning number 4, to be consumed with something means to fill somebody with a strong feeling. For example, red meat should be consumed in moderation. 25% of the world's population consumes 80% of the planet's resources. Fire consumed several buildings. He was consumed with jealousy. Please note that we also use the noun consumption. Consumption is the act of using energy, food, or materials, the amount used, the act of buying and using products. For example, if we don't reduce our energy consumption, we will run out of fuel. As a nation, our consumption of junk food is horrifying. Most people need to increase their daily consumption of fruit and vegetables. He was advised to reduce his alcohol consumption. When national income rises, so does consumption. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 37, is excessive. Excessive means more than is necessary, normal, or desirable. Immoderate, exceeding what is usual, proper, necessary, or normal, much more than is reasonable or necessary. For instance, he was drinking excessive amounts of brandy. The movie was criticized for its excessive violence and nudity. Banks cripple their customers with excessive charges. The manager expects them to do an excessive amount of work. Please note that we use the adverb excessively as well. Excessively means in greater amount than is necessary, normal, or desirable, to a degree exceeding normal or proper limits, in a way that is too much. For example, she started taking pills and drinking excessively. Managers are paying themselves excessively high salaries. The word number 38 is the verb to interfere. To interfere means to deliberately become involved in a situation and try to influence the way that it develops. Although you have no right to do this, it means to become involved in the activities and concerns of other people when your involvement is not wanted. It means to come between so as to be a hindrance or obstacle. For example, I don't think your mother has the right to interfere in our affairs. I'm sick and tired of the way they're always interfering in my life. All of the noise was interfering with my concentration. Constant distractions interfere with work. Take note, we also use the noun interference. Interference is the act of getting involved in and trying to influence a situation that should not really involve you in a way that annoys other people. Let me give you some examples. We had to put up with loud noise and constant interference from the neighbors. The government's interference in the strike has been widely criticized. They resent foreign interference in the internal affairs of their country. The word number 39 is the verb to impede. To impede means to delay, block, or prevent someone or something by obstructing them. If you impede someone or something, you make their movement, development, or progress difficult. The words with a similar meaning are to hinder. To hinder means to limit the ability of someone to do something, or to limit the development of something, to stop someone or something from making progress or developing, to hold back, to prevent. And we also use the verb to hamper. To hamper means to slow the movement, progress, or action of someone or something. If someone or something hampers you, they make it difficult for you to do what you're trying to do. Let me give you some examples. Although he's shy, It certainly hasn't impeded his career in any way. Fallen rock is impeding the progress of rescue workers. His financial troubles hindered him from buying a home. Her progress certainly hasn't been hindered by her lack of experience. A poor diet can hinder mental and physical growth. The bad weather hampered rescue operations. The project was hampered by budget restraints. Take note, we also use the noun impediment. Impediment is a situation that makes it difficult or impossible for someone or something to succeed or make progress. Something that makes progress, movement, or achieving something difficult or impossible. An obstruction in doing something. The words with a similar meaning are hindrance. Hindrance is a person or thing that makes it more difficult for somebody to do something or for something to happen. Something that delays or prevents progress. Something in the way, an obstacle. And another word with a similar meaning is a setback. Setback is an event that makes you lose progress or keeps you from gaining ground. A problem that makes progress more difficult or success less likely. Let me give you some examples. The country's debt has been an impediment to development. The lack of funds is a major impediment to research. He had a speech impediment that caused him to stutter badly. An untied shoelace is a hindrance to walking. I'm afraid you're more of a hindrance to me than a help at this point. These sanctions are a hindrance to the country's economic growth. Despite some early setbacks, they eventually became a successful company. And finally, the word number 40 is the verb to relegate. To relegate means to give somebody a lower or less important position, rank, etc., to assign to a lower position, to consign to an inferior or obscure place, rank, or condition. The word with a similar meaning is to degrade. To degrade means to reduce someone to a lower rank, degree, status, etc., especially as a punishment. It means to treat someone in a way that makes them stop respecting themselves or that makes other people stop respecting them. It means to reduce in worth or character, usually verbally, to demean, to dishonor, or to disgrace. And another word with a similar meaning is to consign. To consign somebody or something to something, which means to put someone or something somewhere in order to get rid of them. To put something or someone to a place or situation where they will be forgotten or do not want to be. That's what it means to consign someone there. Let me give you some examples. She resigned when she was relegated to a desk job. He relegates the less pleasant tasks to his assistant. Military heroes were relegated to the status of ordinary citizens. An artist's work that is now relegated to storerooms. Punishments are intended to humiliate and degrade prisoners. Pornography degrades women. She tends to degrade younger women colleagues. For decades, many of his works were consigned to the basements of museums. He consigned his work suits to the back of the closet. Those who refuse to change with the times will soon be consigned to history. Take heed, we also use the noun degradation. Degradation is the act of treating someone or something poorly and without respect. It is the act of lowering something or someone to a less respected state. The process in which the beauty or quality of something or someone is destroyed or spoiled. For example, she was shocked by the hopeless degradation of the poor whites. The photographs show the degradation of the glaciers over the last 30 years. And we're done with a list of new words for this lesson. I also prepared an exercise for you so that you can practice the words you have learned so far. This interactive approach should help you to incorporate the words into your speaking and writing. Check your progress and do the exercise below. Today, our topic is idols in today's society. What do you think about this appealing topic? Now it's your turn. Grab your pen and paper, pause the video, read the following text carefully, and fill in the blanks. Complete the text with the correct words from the box. These are the words from today's as well as previous lessons. As there are many false idols in today's society, the text is on the lengthy side. Feel free to divide the exercise into smaller parts and complete it at your own pace. The time is up. I hope you managed to fill in all the blanks. Now is the time to check your answers. Here are the correct answers. Number 1, relegated. Number 2, worship. Number 3, obsolete. Number 4, consign. Number 5, garment. Number 6, gadget. Number 7, clutter. Number 8, expenditure. Number 9, indulging. Number 10, glorifies. 11, entitled. 12, sparks. 13, superficial. 14, inflicted. 15, detrimental. 16, devour. 17, on the prowl. 18, overrated. 19, underrated. 20, fake. 21, mediocre. 22, praised. 23, revered. 24, commendable. 25, exploited. 26, portray. 27, well-being. 28, endorse. 29, worship. 30, affluent. 31, obesity. 32, relieve. 33, relief. 34, moderation. 35, triggered. 36, consumed. 37, cravings. 38, deteriorating. 39, profoundly. 40, triggers. 41, impacts. 42, illicit. 43, compulsive. 44, urge. 45, rate. 46, compulsive. 47, resort to. 48, fraud. 49, profound. 50, setback. 51, sparks. 52, triggers. 53, cravings. 54, triggers. 55, cravings. 56, devastating. 57, shrinks. 58, compulsive. 59, consumption. 60, interfere. 61, consumed. 62, degradation. 63, dignity. 64, consumption. 65, gratification. 66, degraded. 67, derogatory. 68, consume. 69, vulnerable. 70, exploiting. 71, empathy. 72, derogatory, 73, subjugated, 74, degraded, 75, exploitation, 76, excessive, 77, fuels, 78, rejections, 79, fundamental, 80, enticed, 81, entangled, 82, spurned, 83, insatiable, 84, to curb, 85, impediment, 86, reinforces, 87, embrace, 88, uplifting, 89, well-being, 90, abhor, 91, resist, 92, empathy, 93, sociable, 94, detest, 95, enticed, 96, yield, 97, rampant, 98, fulfillment, 99, captivate, and 100, capture. Well, how did you do on the test? What was your result? Let me know in the comment section. And if you find my lessons helpful, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more amazing content. Thank you so much for watching my video and see you soon. Bye!